Thank you, Kitamrita. We're very, very honored to have His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj join us today, all the way from Carpentaria. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, you're unmuted now. Just want to make sure you're able to hear us, okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Maharaj. Again, welcome to our Sunday program. On behalf of ISKCON of Atlanta, ISKCON from North Carolina, and ISKCON of Round Rock, we really welcome you to our virtual Sunday feast. Because of the current situation that we're in, I don't think we could ever have a Sunday feast between temples in 3 different states. But thanks to this online programming, we're able to do that. We'd like to just give a quick introduction of His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj for those of you who may have not heard of Maharaj or are hearing from him for the first time. His Holiness Giriraja Maharaj met Srila Prabhupada while he was studying at Brandeis University in Boston in March of 1969. After having discussions with Srila Prabhupada, he was convinced that this was the path for him, and he took initiation from Srila Prabhupada and received the spiritual name Giriraj Das. Giriraj Maharaj quickly became a leading member of the Boston Center and was given the opportunity to go to India with Srila Prabhupada to establish temples in India. In 1972, Giriraja Maharaj was appointed by Srila Prabhupada to be the president of ISKCON of Mumbai at the Juhu temple, and also become a trustee of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Maharaj has made many, many contributions to Srila Prabhupada's mission, most notably overseeing all aspects of development of the Hare Krishna land in Juhu, Mumbai. He was instrumental in acquisition and development of the Bhaktivedanta ashram in Govardhan. Maharaj has been very, very much instrumental for facilities like the Bhaktivedanta Hospice, Vrindavan Institute of Palliative Care, and helping devotees through their final stages of their life. Maharaj is also a very renowned author. He's published some fantastic books called like Watering the Seed, Many Moons, Life's Final Exams. And I believe Maharaj is now working on a book that illustrates what happened in Juhu back in Prabhupada's days. On a personal note, as a child, hearing pastimes of Prabhupada in Mumbai and how we acquired the whole Juhu property was my favorite. And I loved hearing that over again and again. I would always read that when Abhay Charan CDs came out. I would always watch that episode, so much so that that DVD got destroyed completely just because I've seen it again and again. So it was in 2013, got to see His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj at Sadhu Sangha retreat when it was in Austin. And Ram Vijay Prabhu told me that, you should drive Giriraj. I think it was 2013. He said, you should drive Giriraj Maharaj back home, back to Round Rock. And I had literally a panic attack. I'm like, there is no way that I can drive someone who I consider as my life's hero without like just freaking out. So I asked somebody else to drive. And Maharaj, I'm publicly saying this, I sat behind you and I was just staring at you the whole time chanting. And I was chanting, but I was just looking at you chant. And I'm like, I have never seen someone chant with so much of love and attention. And thank you for inspiring so many of us. No introduction does enough justice to your contribution to this movement. And we're extremely, extremely honored to have you speak here today. Maharaj will be speaking to us on the importance of chanting and how we can improve our own japa today. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I will, thank you for that introduction. I think that's the best introduction I've ever gotten. And so now to begin, I will sing the Mangalacharana prayers and lead a little kirtan, and then we'll discuss the holy name. And then at the end, we'll have some time for questions and comments. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine.
Krishna
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adigor Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Saveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I'll be back in a minute, and then we will read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 11.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That was very nice chanting.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So now we shall read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, Text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Etan. I think under the circumstances, I'll just read the Sanskrit straight through. Etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akuto bayam yoginam nripanirnitam harinamanukirtanam. Etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akuto bayam yoginam nripanirnitam harinamanukirtanam. Etat, it is, nirvidyamananam, of those who are completely free from all material desires. Ichatam, of those who are desirous of all sorts of material enjoyment. Akuta bayam, free from all doubts and fear. Yoginam, of all who are self-satisfied. Nripa, O king. Nirnitam, decided truth. Hare, of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Nama, holy name. Anu, after someone, always. Kirtanam, chanting. Translation. O king, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So these categories cover everyone. No one is excluded from these categories, and thus constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is a doubtless and fearless way of success. Now, Srila Prabhupada's translation of this verse is brilliant because the word anu means following. For example, we are Rupanugas, followers of Rupa Goswami. We find the word often, Ramanuja. So Anuja means following or after someone. And Anu also means always. And so Srila Prabhupada has combined the two meanings very beautifully here. O king, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So in these three categories, you will find yourself. You might find yourself in more than one category, but you are there. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda, Krishna, has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. That's most people, ordinary people. Next to them are the transcendentalists who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment and thus are aloof from such an illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves. Roughly, the first category are karmis, and the second category are gyanis. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. So there's a verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakala Ashanta. Bhakti, that means, materialists, karmis, who want material enjoyment. Mukti, or gyanis, who want liberation. And siddhi, yogis, who want mystic perfections. Bhakti, mukti, siddhi, kami. They all have selfish desires. They all have lusty desires. Sakala ashanta, and therefore none of them is peaceful. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, without peace, there is no question of happiness. So bhakti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakala ashanta, Krishna bhakta nishkam ata eva shanta. Only the devotee of Krishna has no desires, and therefore he is peaceful. So here, so above all of them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotees can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the devotee can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. So, Srila Prabhupada said of himself that first Krishna tested him by taking everything away from him. And then Krishna tested him by giving him everything. So what is the test? The test is always, will we remember Krishna or forget him? Will we take shelter of Krishna or look for some other shelter? So Krishna took everything away from him. That was a test, because one might think, oh, I've become a devotee. Now Krishna's taken everything away from me. I've lost everything. So let me go after those things, not after Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada, in that situation, he went after Krishna. He didn't go after the material things. And in the Bhagavad Gita, well, actually, Srila Prabhupada said that what was happening to him when Krishna was taking everything away reminded him of a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyaham anugrinami harishye tadanam shada. Krishna says that when I'm especially favorably inclined to a devotee, the first installment of my special mercy is that I take everything away from him. Yes, if someone is a sincere devotee and he wants to serve Krishna, wants to preach, but he has some material attachments that are coming in the way, so Krishna will take those away. That is his mercy. In New Delhi, Srila Prabhupada had a young man who was translating Prabhupada's books into Hindi. And so once the young man and his father came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and the father had a problem of being, you could say, addicted to smoking cigarettes. So Srila Prabhupada asked him if he had given up smoking. And the man said, no, I haven't, unfortunately. I think I need some special mercy. And Srila Prabhupada replied, special mercy? Yes, there is such a thing as special mercy. Yes, yaham anugranami harishye tadanam shanai. Krishna takes everything away from you. So do you want that special mercy? And the man said, no, Prabhupada, I'll give up the smoking on my own. So that was one test. And then the other test, as Srila Prabhupada said, was Krishna gave him everything. And the same thing, if we get material opulence, we might become absorbed in that opulence and wanting to enjoy it, but not Srila Prabhupada. He was fixed in his determination to serve Krishna. So he said, yeah, first Krishna tested me by taking everything away, then he tested me by giving me everything. So the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotee can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the Lord can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied because they want the satisfaction of the Lord. In this verse, Sri Shukadev Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord by offenseless, and we'll come back to this meaning of the word offenseless. Sri Shukadev Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, about his attributes, about his pastimes, and so on. and thus the necessity of chanting his glories develops successively. So first comes hearing, Shravanam, and then Kirtanam, repeating. And in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami enumerates 64 items of devotional service. And so he includes, Nama Kirtana, chanting of the holy name, Rupa Kirtana, chanting about the Lord's form, Guna Kirtana, chanting about the Lord's qualities, and Lila Kirtana, chanting about the Lord's pastimes. This process is recommended not only for the successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Shukadeva Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. And that's the explanation of nirnitam, decided truth. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievement as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. So even if you're successful as a karmi or gyani or a devotee, you should still chant. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that the chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be done loudly, and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. So this is an elaboration of, following the ways of the great authorities. Anu, Nam Anu Kirtanam, following the ways of the great authorities. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be done loudly, and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sins by surrendering himself unto the Lord. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam praja am tam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. One can deliver himself from offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if he commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. Did you know that the holy name has feet? It does, because the holy name is Krishna. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. So there's a list of these offenses also in the Nectar of Devotion. And in many temples, actually Srila Prabhupada set up the morning program. that they recite the list of the 10 offenses, because not only does it remind one of the offenses, but just the recitation of the list helps one to be free from those offenses. So the first one is the same idea, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the glories of the holy name. Now this is an important one. It's called Sadhu Ninda. And sometimes we do, criticize devotees casually. We don't even think much about it. Sometimes my godbrother, Burijan Das, facilitates japa retreats and gives japa seminars. And at one such seminar, let's say, retreat, he gave the devotees a homework assignment. One, to check themselves that they're not criticizing devotees, and the other was to check themselves that they're being attentive, because that's very important. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if one chants attentively, then all the other offenses will be eradicated. And if one is inattentive while chanting, the other offenses will flourish. So Burijan Prabhu gave them this homework assignment, and then the next day he asked the devotees how they did. So one girl said that she, had every intention of not speaking or hearing criticism of devotees, but that the association she was with was doing it. And so she couldn't avoid it. As she said, it was in the environment. And Burijan Prabhu replied, well, you have two choices. One is you can try to change the environment. And if you want to try to change the environment, good luck, because the environment doesn't want to change. The environment wants to criticize. So the other alternative is to dissociate yourself from that environment. Of course, by talks like this, we are trying to create a culture in which we don't criticize devotees or have to hear criticism. But there will be. And so we have to dissociate ourselves from that. Anyway, there are details. There are details about that, because sometimes, a friend might be upset with another devotee and come to you for some sort of solace or comfort, support. So you might have to hear a little, but as little as possible. Yeah. And in general, not at all. So the first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. The second offense is to see the holy name in terms of worldly distinction. The Lord is the proprietor of all the universes, and therefore he may be known in different places by different names. But that does not in any way qualify, means limit, the fullness of the Lord. Any nomenclature which is meant for the Supreme Lord is as holy as the others, because they are all meant for the Lord. Such holy names are as powerful as the Lord, and there is no bar for anyone in any part of the creation to chant and glorify the Lord by the particular name of the Lord as it is locally understood. They are all auspicious, and one should not distinguish such names of the Lord as material commodities. So, Srila Prabhupada's disciple Atreya Rishi Prabhu, who was from Iran, was preaching there. And when Srila Prabhupada visited Tehran, Atreya Rishi Prabhu gave a sort of eloquent, expressed an eloquent aspiration that one day all the Muslims would chant Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada replied, why do you want them to chant only Hare Krishna? They can chant Allah, Allah. That is also just as good. So this is the point here, that one can chant any name of the Lord, in as it is understood in the culture locally. And any name of the Supreme Lord is as powerful as the Lord. But as this offense is described in the Nectar of Devotion, it's an offense to consider the names of demigods, such as Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. So this refers to chanting different names of the Supreme Lord, that they're all as powerful as the Supreme Lord, but we should not chant the names of demigods thinking that those names are on the same level as the Supreme Lords. There is a popular weekly magazine in India called the Illustrated Weekly of India, and the editor was named Kushwant Singh, and he was a demon. I'm not just saying it because, as you'll hear in a minute or two, Srila Prabhupada confirmed that he was a demon. So he published an article called Hare Krishna versus Shiva Shiva, which was an account by an Austrian sannyasi in the impersonal school named Gehananda Bharati. So it was an account by Gehananda Bharati of Bharati's debate with our Hridayananda Das Goswami. So I could see by this, the title of the article, that Kushwant Singh was trying to make us all look silly. Oh, how silly, Shiva Supreme, Krishna Supreme, Shiva Shiva versus Hare Krishna. And so I expressed this to Srila Prabhupada, that I thought that Kushwant Singh was, he was just like trying to make us all look like fools. Because Singh was an atheist. And Prabhupada said, yes, you're right. Bharati is a fool, but Singh is a demon. So, yeah. But anyway, the fact is that chanting the holy name of Krishna is not on the same level as chanting the names of demigods. And this is one problem I see, because devotees are performing kirtan in yoga studios, in yoga circles, which is very good. But sometimes some devotees, not all, Some devotees feel they have to chant the names of demigods. Otherwise, the people in the yoga studio will think that they're too sectarian. Now, the great kirtan leader Madhava Prabhu from Mauritius, he doesn't subscribe to that. We have many mantras that we can chant, like the holy name of Rama, Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, so many, Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya. We don't need to chant the names of demigods to provide some variety or some sense of being non-sectarian. So that is a danger if we as devotees chant the names of demigods. Of course, we can explain it. That's also there. Explain that the demigods themselves are devotees of Krishna. At least we should do that. But otherwise, we don't chant the names of demigods. The third offense is to neglect the orders of the authorized acharyas or spiritual masters. Yes, gurura vagya, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master or envy his exalted position. The fourth offense is to vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge. Yes, to blaspheme the Vedic literature in pursuance of Vedic version. Now, this one can have subtle versions. There are different degrees of offenses. There's the story of when Bhrigu Muni went to test Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu to see who was supreme, who was fully situated in the mode of goodness, pure goodness. So first he went to Lord Brahma, who was his father, and he did not offer him respects. So that was considered an offense in the mind. And Brahma became angry, but with his great intelligence, he controlled his anger. But that was an offense committed in his mind. It was an act of omission rather than an act of commission. The next, he visited Lord Shiva, who was his brother. And Lord Shiva came forward to embrace his brother. And Bhrigu Muni backed away and said, "Don't touch me. You're always associated with ghosts and hobgoblins, and your body's covered with ashes. Don't touch me. Stay away from me." So that was an offense committed with words. And then he went to Lord Vishnu, who was whose lotus feet were being massaged by Lakshmi. And he did what we would consider unthinkable. And that is you could say, sort of kicked Lord Vishnu, with his foot on Lord Vishnu's chest. And Lord Vishnu was so transcendental, he said, "Oh, Bhrigu Muni, I am so sorry. I hope that my chest was not too hard on your lotus feet." So, that clearly established Lord Vishnu as the supreme, as fully situated in the mode of goodness or pure goodness. So I'm making the point here, there's offenses within the mind, there's offenses committed with words, and then there's offenses committed with the body. And each one is successively more serious. So this fourth offense, blaspheming the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version, that is an offense, committed with one's words, to blaspheme. But there's also a subtle offense, not an act of commission, but an act of omission. And that is not to read the books, not to hear the talks about the books. That's also a subtle offense. And, Srila Prabhupada stayed up at night translating the books. He made such an effort to give us the books. So we should read them. And I would say not reading them is a subtle offense, not like blaspheming outwardly, but it is a subtle offense. It means there's some resistance. But this is just to discuss the offenses. I don't imagine any of you are guilty of it. We're just discussing the offenses. So the fourth offense is to vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge. The fifth offense is to define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation. The holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord himself, and one should understand the holy name of the Lord to be non-different from him. The sixth offense is to interpret the holy name. The Lord is not imaginary, nor is his holy name. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge who think the Lord to be an imagination of the worshiper, and therefore think his holy name to be imaginary. Such a chanter of the name of the Lord cannot achieve the desired success in the matter of chanting the holy name. So to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Now, this can also have a subtle manifestation, and His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, who often, facilitates japa retreats and workshops, said that one of his motivations was so that people don't think that the glories of chanting the holy name are imagination. Because if we don't chant properly, attentively, we won't get the desired result. And we might think, the glories are imaginary. I'm chanting, I'm not feeling it. But you're not chanting properly. That's why you're not feeling it. So that was one of his motivations. And as he says in his wonderful German accent, that devotees suffer from a kind of schizophrenia. They have like a split personality. Like our motto is chant and be happy. But the devotees chant and they're not happy. And the reason is that they don't chant properly. And sometimes when we do, I've also done japa retreats and workshops. So we make a list on the board. Like when you chant in this way, you do feel happy. Like usually getting up early in the morning and chanting with attention, no distraction. And then another list when you chant and you don't feel happy. And that comes, when you basically are inattentive, when you try to do other things while you're chanting. Mahatma Prabhu says some devotees are like very expert at doing things with their left hand. They become, because their right hand is in the bead bag and their left hand is doing all sorts of things, dusting, cleaning, going on the internet. So they're very good with the left hand now. So, yeah. So we don't want to be like that. We want to chant and be happy, and we can chant and be happy when we're fully absorbed and attentive. So then we won't think that the glories of the holy name are imagination. The seventh offense is to commit sins intentionally on the strength of the holy name. In the scriptures, it is said that one can be liberated from the effects of all sinful actions simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who takes advantage of this transcendental method and continues to commit sin on the expectation of neutralizing the effects of sins by chanting the holy name is the greatest offender at the feet of the holy name. Such an offender cannot purify himself by any recommended method of purification. In other words, one may be a sinful person before chanting the holy name of the Lord, but after taking shelter in the holy name of the Lord and becoming immune, means the effects of one's previous sins are neutralized or eradicated, one should strictly restrain oneself from committing sinful acts with the hope that his method of chanting the holy name will give him protection. So this, Srila Prabhupada says it's the worst offense, and committing sin on the strength of chanting. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that not only is it an offense, but it doesn't work. He said even in, you could say, ritualistic activities of atonement, that if one undertakes a ritual for atonement and then again engages in sinful activities, thinking that he can neutralize the effects by performing that ritual, that also doesn't work. So we have to be sincere, in, yes, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we did engage in sinful activities, most of us. And by chanting, we get relieved of the sinful reactions. But to be cunning and calculating that, I'll do some sin and then I'll neutralize the effects by chanting, that's very offensive, and it doesn't work. And in fact, the effect of the sin is complicated or compounded by the offense against the holy name. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity. There are various kinds of good works for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. Undoubtedly, the holy name is holy service, but he should never be utilized for such purposes. Since the holy name of the Lord and the Lord are of one and the same identity, one should not try to bring the holy name into the service of mankind. The idea is that the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He is no one's servant or order supplier. Similarly, since the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord, one should not try to use the holy name for one's personal service. Now this, Srila Prabhupada spoke about this offense in a very special circumstance. Anyway, there was a conference at the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in Chowpatty, Bombay. And the theme of the conference was how all the world's problems could be solved by the Bhagavad Gita. And the organizer, Mrs. Leelavati Munshi, who was the widow of, anyway, so she invited the participants, the sadhus, to her library before the conference began, to speak with them and introduce them to each other. So there was one man, I happened to be there, Shamsundar Prabhu was there. Anyway, there was one man, I don't recall his name, but he had a long beard, long white beard, white hair. And he was having gatherings of people and having them chant the holy name and telling them that by chanting the holy name, their diseases would be cured. So the man said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm gathering people together, you're gathering people together. I'm getting them to chant the holy name, you're getting them to chant the holy name. So we should cooperate. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, what you described is against our principles. And he made the same point, that the holy name is Krishna. We are Krishna's servants, not that Krishna is our servant, that we employ him to cure us, of our physical diseases. So he rejected that seemingly congenial proposal. The ninth offense is to instruct those who are not interested in chanting the holy name of the Lord about the transcendental nature of the holy name. If such instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, the act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. So that is preaching the glories of the holy name to the faithless. There was a conversation with Srila Prabhupada and a professor in Stockholm, Sweden. And at one point, one of Prabhupada's disciples started to speak about the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada stopped him. And he said, this is an offense, because you're preaching the glories of the holy name to a faithless person. First, we have to create faith in him by logic and reason. Then when he has faith, we can speak about the glories of the holy name from Shastra. But if he doesn't have faith in the Shastra, then if we speak about the glories of the holy name, he may just take it as imagination, which is an offense for him. And so it's an offense for us to preach to the faithless, because that will lead them into offenses. I had my own little experience with my father. He and my mother and sister had come to India to visit me. And we were on a flight. We were going to Kashmir, Srinagar. And on the flight, because Srila Prabhupada had written a book called Easy Journey to Other Planets, in which he used, scientific terminology. So on the plane, I thought, okay, well, I'll try to preach to my father, quoting the philosophy and language of Easy Journey. And I said to him, by other methods of yoga, you can travel to other planets in this universe, but only by Bhakti yoga, by chanting, can you travel beyond this universe to the spiritual planets and the spiritual sky. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? It was like, I mean, he didn't say it, but I could see in his mind, he was thinking that, you know, I thought you were crazy before this, but now hearing this, I'm sure you're crazy. And then I realized I had committed that offense, like preaching the glories of the holy name to the faithless. And it's an offense because they become offensive. You know, we're leading them to become offensive. So, yeah, if such instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, the act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. The 10th offense is to become uninterested in the holy name of the Lord, even after hearing of the transcendental nature of the holy name. Or as stated in the Nectar Devotion to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions. The effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord is perceived by the chanter as liberation from the conception of false egoism. False egoism is exhibited by thinking oneself to be the enjoyer of the world and thinking everyone in the world to be meant for the enjoyment of one's self only. The whole materialistic world is moving under such false egoism of I and mine. But the factual effect of chanting the holy name is to become free from such misconceptions. So yes, to not have complete faith in the holy name, to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions. So if we have faith in the holy name, we will know that the holy name or Krishna can fulfill all our desires. And so there's no use in having or keeping material attachments because we can get everything from Krishna. So it's not an offense to have material attachments. It's an anartha, but it's not an offense. But to keep the material attachments is an offense. And so we should be very mindful when we're chanting that the idea is to purify our hearts and free ourselves from material attachments and the false egoism of I, me, and mine. And to, reestablish in our real constitutional position as eternal servants of Krishna. As Srila Prabhupada often said, we're chanting the holy names, we're calling Krishna. Now, when we call someone's name, they may respond, yes, what do you want? So we're calling Krishna's name, and if he asks, and implicitly he is asking, if he asks, what do you want? Are we going to come out with a whole list of material things that we want? I hope not. No, we won't. We will ask for only one thing. Please engage me in your service. That's all we want. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that the chanting is a prayer, O Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. So thank you for this opportunity to speak about the holy name, the glories of the holy name. I felt it to be purifying for me. And now we can take questions or comments from the devotees.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we have some. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful class, and stressing the importance of chanting, particularly chanting without offenses, and to strengthen our faith in the strength of the holy name. We have a few questions in the chat window, Maharaj. We're requesting devotees to paste their questions on the chat.
Okay.
Would you like me to read them to you?
Sure.
So first question is from Sabita Abhinam. Hare Krishna. My question is, being inattentive while chanting is an offense. I try my best to be attentive while chanting, and it is very difficult as the mind wanders. Does this reduce our taste to chant if we are inattentive?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, as Burijan Prabhu says, that when we chant, it can be a battle with our mind because our mind wants to go here and there. The mind is the agent of the false ego. And the false ego doesn't want to surrender to Krishna. The false ego wants to be the enjoyer and the controller and the proprietor. So he said it's a battle, but that battle has to be fought. And eventually you'll be successful. Yeah, because Krishna will help you. You're not fighting on your own. Once I asked Srila Prabhupada about chanting, having difficulty hearing while I was chanting, and he said to chant loudly. So yeah, chant loudly, drive that Maya away. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And also just practice, like Srila Prabhupada said, practice makes perfect. You keep chanting, 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 the offenses will diminish. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question we have is from Aditya Narayan Prabhu. When we have some physical or emotional difficulties and we are chanting the holy name, at the back of our mind, we're hoping that the holy name will remove or reduce the difficulties. So is this the eighth offense? And what if the difficulty is hindering our services?
That's a good question. It's a little tricky to pray for material relief because our motive could be that we just don't want to suffer. But at the same time, our motive could be to serve more or serve better. There's one devotee in our community. He might even be on this conference, I don't know. But anyway, there's one devotee in our community in Santa Barbara. So he was for a long time, he was looking for a house. He couldn't find a proper house. And I said, well, did you ever pray for it? And he said, no, I can't pray for something material for myself. So I said, well, if you pray so that you can have a facility, a nice facility for your deities and a place where you can invite devotees and have satsang, then it's not material. And so he changed. So he wasn't praying. So with that sort of adjustment, he started to pray. And then very soon he found a good house. And he's still there and his deities are there and we have nice programs there. Every once in a while, it hasn't happened for a while, but there was a time we were having like forest fires and things. We had to evacuate. We would go to his house. So yeah, I think it's if the intention is another thing which I've experienced when I have some pain or physical difficulty is, I think, what is Krishna trying to teach me? What does Krishna want me to learn from this? And I think about it and I get different lessons. And then after some days of getting, genuine lessons, I may say to Krishna or, pray to Krishna that, I think I've learned a lot from this. But I do want to serve the devotees. I do want to serve the mission. So if you think we can move on from this, and it happens like that sometimes. So it's okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question we have is from Brahma Samhita, Prabhu.
Oh, yes.
Srila Prabhupada says that devotees of the Lord are more merciful than the Lord because they take all risks, even to the point of approaching faithless people to get them to engage in Krishna consciousness. Lord Nityananda is known even approaching Jagai and Madhai. So is a devotee who is approaching someone like this committing the offense of preaching to the faithless?
Well, Lord Nityananda wasn't exactly preaching the glories of the holy name, but he was just asking them on Lord Chaitanya's order to, chant Krishna and serve Krishna's instructions. But that's true, because at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that this knowledge should not be imparted to those, who are not austere, who are envious, and so on. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that sometimes the same idea that the devotee of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord, and sometimes at risk, he will speak in an open assembly, and there might be people there who aren't qualified to hear, but he takes that risk. So that is not an offense. I mean, if one is face to face with an individual, and that person is faithless, then it is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name to the faithless. But if it's an open assembly, you don't know who's there and what their consciousness is. And so, yeah, we take that risk. There might be people who shouldn't be hearing it, but we're concerned about the others who are receptive. And, Krishna knows that. And Krishna is pleased with that. So, yeah, we do that. Prabhupada did it, and following in his footsteps, we also do that. And, it's amazing at the Sadhu Sangha Kirtan retreat, although most of the people who come are devotees, but occasionally I meet people who aren't devotees. They just came out of curiosity, and they really got influenced. So in a way, because it's like preaching the glories of the holy name to the faithless, but they were innocent. And that's a distinction that we have to make, as explained in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prema Maitri Kripa Upeksha. Prema, we give our love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maitri, we make friendship with devotees. Kripa, we show mercy to the innocent. And Upeksha, we neglect those who are envious. So, yeah. So we have to give mercy. We have to give mercy to the innocent. And yeah, there might be envious people. What can we do? I mean, when Srila Prabhupada was, I think, in France, there were some envious people in the audience who objected to his sitting on a raised seat, like a Vyasa-san. They were so envious, they objected to that. But preachers take the risk for the sake of the innocent.
Thank you, Maharaj. The question from Sri Devi Mataji. Is it okay to chant while listening to Krishna's pastimes?
Well, that doesn't sound possible for most people. There is a devotee, I think we were in Indore. It was the early days with Srila Prabhupada in India. And so this devotee asked Srila Prabhupada about chanting japa while reading, which I think is more or less the same question. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, you wouldn't be able to pay proper attention to either. So you should choose one or the other and then be fully attentive in that. But it's nice to read Krishna's pastimes, and then when you do chant, those pastimes may come to mind. In the old days, we used to read the Krishna book at night before we took rest. And then in the morning when we were chanting japa, those pastimes from the Krishna book would come in our mind. So that's okay when we're chanting. We try to hear, that's the main focus, to hear. But it may happen naturally. We think of Krishna's forms, qualities, pastimes. So that's good. That's nice.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question is from Sakshi Garanga Prabhu. A lot of times our focus goes on completing rounds and not enjoying the process of chanting. How do we change our focus to relish the taste of the holy name?
What was the first part? Sometimes we...
our focus goes on completing rounds and
yeah. Well, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that's an offensive mentality, to be chanting and thinking, I have to finish my rounds, so that's why I'm doing it. It's like we had, so I think, in a way, the answer is within the phrasing of the question, that you should just take the time to chant properly and relish, and don't be in a hurry. I myself, I always chant extra rounds beyond my 16, but there was a time when I was chanting a lot more extra rounds, and I found myself sort of worrying about how fast I was chanting. I thought, this is not a good mentality. So then I reduced the number of extra rounds so I could just take my time, chant nicely, and not worry about how long it was taking me to chant a round. So yeah, we should do that, and we will relish. Right now usually we're in a hurry. Well, partly because we don't have taste, and partly because we want to move on to something else, get the chanting out of the way. And it's like Mahatma Prabhu said at one japa retreat that we were facilitating together, that he had a friend, it was a devotee, who said that previously I used to feel that the chanting was getting in the way of my life. And now I feel that my life is getting in the way of my chanting. So, yeah, we should, that's our special time with Krishna. And we shouldn't be rushed, shouldn't be in a hurry. Try to have a schedule that allows you that time. And don't try not to be in that mentality of I have to finish my rounds and move on.
Our next question comes from Vaikuntesha Balaji Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the enlightening class. Many times when we try to chant attentively, mind tries to solve a pressing problem of material nature. In such circumstances, how do we deal with such situation? How do we set aside the pressing material problem because it feels important to be dealt with?
Well, Burijan Prabhu says that the mind will always tell us that there are more important things to do than chant Hare Krishna. So we have to expect that from the beginning. Now, our god brother Gopal Bhatta Prabhu is a big businessman, and he also has a lot of responsibility in ISKCON. And he told me that he makes very sort of comprehensive to-do lists, so that when he's chanting, it doesn't become a time when he thinks of all the things he has to do. And sometimes that happens with chanting, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. Oh, you know. So take the time to make your to-do list outside of japa, so that you don't have to do that during japa, or your mind doesn't go in that direction. Yeah. So what was the other part of the question?
Yeah, I think you answered it. How do we set aside the pressing material problem because it feels important to be dealt with?
Oh, yeah. The only other thing I could add to that is something Satchidananda Swami said. No, I think it's answered. I think it's already answered, so that's fine.
The next question comes from Krishna Chandra Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, a neophyte is advised to start chanting. However, until they become a devotee, they commit many or all of the 10 offenses. So is it advised not to chant until they understand not to commit any of the 10 offenses?
No. It's like His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami said, the worst round you chant is better than the best round you don't chant. So, yeah, just chant. And by chanting, gradually the offenses will decrease.
Next question comes from Savita Abhiraman. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Sorry, have another question. My brother is an atheist, and whenever I speak to him or message him, I tell him about Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. Is that an offense?
Well, how does he react? Can we unmute Savita?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks like she's still muted.
Yeah, I don't know why she's.
Oh, there she's okay. Yeah. So what? Yeah.
Sorry.
When you message your atheistic brother and tell him about Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, how does he respond?
He says that he's already read the Bhagavad Gita, he knows everything, and it's a waste of time.
And what if you say, maybe if you read it again, you'll get more out of it this time?
I've told him so many times. I keep on messaging him a lot of things about Krishna all the time. Whenever I talk, I always tell him about Krishna and then what I'm doing. But he still thinks what we are all doing is a waste of time. I can't, but I'll still keep on, telling him. Maybe one day he'll change, who knows? That's okay.
I mean, to me, it sounds like a waste of time. I mean, he's your brother, so you have feelings for him, but I would give him a break from your messages about Krishna and Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. The next question is from Ram Vijay Prabhu.
The Ram Vijay?
Yes. I have noticed that when we pray for others while chanting, whether it be to help them through a difficulty they might be going through, physically or mentally, the focus on the holy name tends to be better. But when we are just chanting japa, just trying to focus on the holy name, the mind wavers a lot. So what should be our prayer to the holy name while chanting?
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, I would say that anything that helps your focus is good. So if chanting in that mood of prayer to help someone or some number of people helps your focus, then it's okay. Although when you began the question, I didn't know where it was going to end up. When you began it, I thought of something my god sister Janava said to Srila Prabhupada, that when we chant Hare Krishna, should we think of the welfare of every living entity? And Srila Prabhupada replied, oh, you can think of every living entity? You think of Lord Chaitanya, and he will think of every living entity.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question from Gopal Chandra Prabhu. How do we get out of fault finding in others?
Oh, you just have to stop it. I mean, I don't mean to bring in a mundane source, but on occasion I do send this link to devotees. It's a little, maybe 5-minute skit. I'm sorry, I'm getting so mundane here, but it's a little 5-minute skit with Bob Newhart, who's an American comedian. And he's playing the part of a psychologist, and a lady comes to see him. And she comes up with all her problems. And his answer to everything, practically, is stop it. He says, stop it. So that would be my answer to the fault finding. Stop it. It's bad for you, and it doesn't do anyone any good. It's really bad for you. It contaminates the consciousness. Sadhu Ninda, it's the first offense, to blaspheme the devotees, find fault with the devotees. It's offense against the holy name, which means that the holy name is displeased with us. And when the holy name is displeased with us, he holds back his mercy. So if we do that, we're cheating ourselves. We're not hurting anyone else, but we are hurting ourselves. So stop it.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. I feel like that needs to be on a t-shirt somewhere. The next question is from Ram Vijay Prabhu's daughter, Geetamrita. If you don't have the taste for chanting and you still chant, is that an offense? And part 2 of the question, how should we develop that taste?
Yeah. No, it's not an offense to chant without taste. Again, chanting is always good. And Srila Rupa Goswami gives the example in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita, that avidya, which means ignorance, is like the disease called jaundice. And when one has jaundice, I experienced it actually. When one has jaundice, sweet things taste bitter. But the cure for jaundice, the Ayurvedic cure, is rock candy, sugar candy. And you take the sugar candy, but it tastes bitter because you're diseased. But as you take the sugar candy, you gradually get cured from the disease and become healthy. And as you become more and more healthy, the rock candy tastes sweeter and sweeter. So, yeah, to chant. That's the first thing, just chant. And then the second thing is try to chant with attention. And gradually you'll be able to taste the sweetness. You'll be able to relish the chanting.
Thank you, Marsh. The next question is from Lalitangi Radhamataji. Is the order of the offenses according to the severity? If so, I am thinking that the first offense is not about the holy names, but about offenses to devotees. Can you help us understand why is it so?
Yeah. Well, some of the offenses we commit while chanting, say like being inattentive. But some of the offenses, I hope we don't chant while we're chanting, but they affect our chanting. And so the first offense, sadhu ninda, I wouldn't say that they're in order of severity, although sadhu ninda is very bad, but usually Srila Prabhupada counts the seventh offense to commit sin on the saints of chanting Hare Krishna to be one of the worst, if not the worst. So what was the question? More of the question?
Why is the first offense about offenses to devotees and not really about the offense to the holy name?
Oh, yeah. No, it is an offense to the holy name. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagate the glories of the holy name. They're servants of the holy name. And so if you, blaspheme the servants of the holy name, then you're offending the holy name. In fact, Krishna says that he takes more offense when his devotees are offended than when he himself is offended. Just like if you're in scorching heat and you're walking barefoot, you feel the pain more on your feet than on your head. So Krishna takes the offense more. I mean, he feels the offense more when the offense is against his devotees than when it's against him directly. So, yeah, we should definitely not offend devotees. That offends Krishna. That hurts Krishna. Offends the holy name.
Thank you, Maharaj. Our next question is from Vinesh Mishra Prabhu. This is a continuation to Gopal Chandra Prabhu's question. It is very difficult to get away with envy or fault-finding nature. If certain things are not my way, it is very difficult to give away fault of others. What should be my approach to settle it?
Well, once I asked Srila Prabhupada about envy in Surat. For a while before I asked him, I was contemplating the subject very seriously, why it was harmful to me to be envious. And I thought, it disturbs my consciousness. It may disturb my relationship with the other devotees of whom I'm envious, although I would try not to let it, but it could. And I also thought there's no reason to be envious because Krishna is unlimited and Krishna's service is unlimited. So even if some devotee has a particular service, I shouldn't feel that it's coming in my way of serving Krishna because Krishna is unlimited and his service is unlimited. But still, having all these reasons why not to be envious, I felt I did still have envy in my heart. So I approached Srila Prabhupada And the first thing he said was, can you think of any reasons not to be envious? And I'd been thinking of so many reasons not to be envious. So I said, yes. Then he said, all right. So being envious means you don't like someone. So that not liking should not be directed towards devotees, but it should be directed towards demons who are always causing problems for devotees and innocent people. So, yeah, don't not like devotees. You can not like demons, but don't not like devotees. And if you think about a devotee, any devotee, there's bound to be some good quality in that devotee. So, focus on the good quality. Like Srila Prabhupada said, we should be like the bees that go to the flowers and seek the nectar. We shouldn't be like the flies who go to the dirty places and source. So it'd be nice to see the people who are asking the questions so I can see their reactions. But anyway, so who is this from?
This is from Binesh Mishra Prabhu. Binesh Mishra Prabhu, if you're on, please turn on your camera maybe.
Oh, there he is. So let's unmute him.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So, yeah, you feel your question was answered?
Yes, Maharaj, it is answered, but when I'm trying to settle it like, okay, forget it. I'm trying to avoid this. It comes more to me. That is the problem. I understood what you said, that I should accept what are the good qualities of that person. So I accept it, but sometimes, this mind, it does not accept. So that becomes the problem for me.
And so you think of the faults of devotees. Is that what you're saying?
No, not devotees. We are living as a bachelor, so we have certain things, not with the devotees.
Oh, your roommates.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, how about making them devotees?
They are, passively they will listen to, I'm hearing these kathas, so passively they will hear, but for some reason I'm not able to make them understand how it will help them in their goals.
Yeah. The main reason I mention that is that there are two things in your personal behavior that will influence people to want to be devotees or want to be like you. And the one is to be happy. If they see you're happy, then they'll think, oh, by chanting, he's happy. By Krishna consciousness, he's happy. And then the other thing is to deal with them very nicely. If they say, oh, he's dealing with us very nicely. So this chanting, this Krishna consciousness must be very good. So in general, that's what I would recommend to anyone who wants to influence someone towards Krishna consciousness. People should see that they're happy by it, and they should deal with others nicely. People see that their behavior is very kind and caring and gentle.
Sure, Maharaj. I will try my best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. And we have one last question. This is from Lalitangi Radha Mataji. Mataji, if you're online, please turn on your camera. Her question is, we have read from Lilamrita that Srila Prabhupada paraded you for about 2 months in front of guests when the land deed in Bombay was cancelled. How did you feel and how did you take it?
Well, I think we could unmute her. Well, I don't know if I should say I'm glad to report that I was not the one. That was Tamal Krishna Goswami. He canceled the agreement, and it's true for 2 months. Life members and friends would visit Srila Prabhupada. He would have Tamal Krishna Goswami come in and he would say, he's the one who canceled the agreement. So how did I feel? I didn't feel anything because I wasn't the one.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Like, you're our real heroes. Whenever we read about it, we see the Juhu temple now. It wouldn't be possible without sacrifice of you and other devotees. We are very, very grateful. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you. It was Prabhupada's mercy that he engaged us. Yeah.
And Maharaj, actually a very popular question that many devotees have been asking is, when will your new book be released? Because I think everyone is eagerly waiting for your new book.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because I was just about to mention that. The book is basically written, and I guess coincidentally, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami mentioned that he can't wait to get a copy because he feels that it would contain material that would be useful for him. So I said, well, I can send you the Word document. I can send you the manuscript. And he sort of got inspired and he's been going through it. I think he's maybe 2/3 through or 3/4 through, sort of proofreading it. And he's pointed out a number of little mistakes that were there that obviously we had missed. And then after he finishes, my disciple Vishaka Priya, who's based in Vrindavan, she'll go through it one last time to see if she notices anything. And then that's it. It'll be ready. It's going to be published by the BBT, the Australian division, which is under His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj. And he says that, once he gets it, it'll take 2 months at most to print. So the plan was, and I guess we'll see with the coronavirus, but the plan was that when I went to India in October, the book would be there and I could launch it. But yeah, we're very close to the end. Everything else is there. But yeah, I feel blessed that Maharaj is going through it and noticing little things here and there.
Thank you for that, Maharaj. We're all eagerly waiting for that book to come out. And in the meantime, devotees, we can, as we start getting excited for Maharaj's new book to come out, please take the time to read other books by Maharaj. My personal favorite is Many Moons. Highly encourage devotees to get a copy. Maharaj, if devotees want to get a copy, where do you suggest is a good place for them to get copies of your books?
Well, I guess Amazon, or in America, there's Krishna Culture. They can get it from Krishna Culture. which used to be based in Houston and now is based in Dallas. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Or, yeah.
Sorry, just had to sneeze. Thank you, Maharaj, and highly encourage devotees to read Maharaj's books. They're spectacular. Maharaj, thank you so much on behalf of ISKCON of Atlanta, ISKCON of Hillsborough, New Goloka, and ISKCON of Round Rock. We are extremely grateful, honored, and humbled to hear from you this morning and this afternoon. Hearing from devotees like yourself, particularly hearing pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, is so wonderful, because I think for the next generation of our devotees, it gives us motivation and inspiration that this is a legacy that we have to continue. We have to continue to go deeper into our japa, so we feel happy in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
We're distributing a book that says chant and be happy. We need to tell the world that we're actually happy because we chant.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But just on that point about being happy, I mentioned it a couple of times about being happy. But when, so His Holiness Radhanath Swami told Vaisheshika Prabhu that the most important thing he can do as the leader of the devotee community in Silicon Valley, ISB, is to be happy. So, yeah, chant and be happy. Chant in such a way that you are happy.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, again. And thank you to all the devotees who joined us.
Yeah.
We want to just take a moment to also just inform you all next Sunday, we will continue with this theme of blossoming our bhakti. We will be hearing from Her Grace Urmila Mataji, who will be speaking about devotee association, Vaishnava Sangha. The class is titled Choosing Our Association. So continues where Maharaj left off today to talk about association. We're also very excited that His Holiness Devanmita Maharaj will also be giving a session here in the first week of June. So we'll keep you all posted with more information. So a lot of the devotees that were mentioned today in Maharaj's class will hopefully will be joining us on this bridge here. So Maharaj, with your permission at this time, we will just be doing some announcements for our local center here, and we will end with Nashinga prayers. If you or if any devotees would like to drop off, please feel free to do so. We'll just do some of our local announcements and Nashinga prayers.
Can I lead the Nashinga prayers?
Oh, that would be wonderful, Maharaj. Absolutely wonderful. Would it be okay if we just do our announcements before Nashinga prayers, Maharaj, so we know?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly share my screen here. So again, welcome to Sunday Feast. Special welcome to all of our devotees. Am I sharing my screen? Probably not. Again, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Feast. Particularly special welcome to devotees from Atlanta and Hillsborough for co-joining, co-celebrating the Sunday Feast with us. Special thank you to His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj and the devotees from Maharaj's ashram in Carpentaria for joining us today. We would like to take a moment to thank Vaikuntesha Balaji Prabhu and Krishna Chandra Prabhu and family for sponsoring Sunday Feast today. May 19th is Krishna Chandra Prabhu and Parul's birthday. So thank you for sponsoring Prabhu and Vaikuntesha Balaji Prabhu, of course. We'd like to thank our monthly donors for their continued support. Bhajan Sandhya will be this Friday, May 22nd from 7 p.m. Please reach out to Sakshi Gauranga Prabhu. We've had 2 so far, and they've been huge success. The spots go very fast, so please reach out to him if you'd like to lead a bhajan or kirtan. Lots of lots of programs happening, not just at our temple, all around the world. Please keep up to date via WhatsApp, email, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever method works for you. There will be communications of our programs happening, so please make sure to check out what's happening there. As mentioned, this Monday is Ekadashi, so we request devotees to please fast on this day and take some more time and inspiration from Maharaj's class so we can all chant a little bit more on this day to go deeper in our spiritual practice. Next Sunday, our Sunday feast will be given by Her Grace Urmila Mataji. It'll be from 11:30 a.m. Central to 1 p.m. Central. And the topic is choosing our association. It is part 2 of a Blossoming Our Bhakti series. So please join to hear from Urmila Mataji. Urmila Mataji is a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, known worldwide for her extremely scholarly presentations and very deep insights into a variety of topics. She's also an author, and she's a PhD in children's education. So very, very important for us to attend this class to learn more about how do we choose our association. We spoke about this last Sunday with the inspiration of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu and BBT. We're doing a lockdown marathon for Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance, which is on June 20th. So we set a goal here for Austin. Last week we announced this. Our goal was to distribute 108 books of Srila Prabhupada. Devotees, you've responded so amazingly well. Since the last time we made this announcement, 79 books were distributed in 1 week. 4 of these books were actually given to friends. They were also given to stores where you were driving by to just share the gift. We had books sponsored by Kundesha Balaji Prabhu and family sponsored 51 small books for distribution. And Santosh Prabhu and family, as we announced, had already sponsored a box of Gita. So thank you so much for your help. This is very easy, devotees. If you are ever shy or afraid of going outside and doing books, this is the marathon for you. All you need to do is call, email, text, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you need to do, your friends, tell them about Prabhupada's books and encourage them to get these books. You could also give a gift of these books to your friends. You can also sponsor books like this to be placed in hotels, airports, libraries, and hospitals. How will we distribute the books? We can drop off books anywhere within a 25-mile radius. It'll be all contactless. Payments will be accepted completely online. We can also mail the books out of state or if it's outside the 25-mile radius. One thing that a lot of devotees have been asking, saying that, if we donate $108, what books we can get. You can either get a box of softbound Gitas, box of hardbound Gitas. We also have custom boxes for 108. These are books that you can keep in your house, in your car, wherever you go. You can give a book to someone you meet. Recently, Rupsagar, my husband and I, we went to get our car washed after 2 months of it not looking very pleasant. And the lady at the car wash, we just gave her a higher taste. And she said, oh, I've been looking for something like this. I've been wanting to become vegetarian. So thank you so much for that. These books change people's lives. Many of us here are devotees because of Prabhupada's books. So please take this opportunity to distribute these books or just keep them in your house. You never know, the ripe fruit will walk at your doorstep and there'll be a book in your house to distribute. Nothing can give us more misery than you meet somebody who's actually interested and you don't have a book with you. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. We can deliver these boxes of books to your house as well. So you're always stocked and we can continue to refill them as they come along. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on WhatsApp or email me, and we can make sure that if there are any books that you need, we can provide it for you. Sorry, there we go. Today is, as always, to conclude, we're requesting prayers for victims of the coronavirus and strength for their family and friends. We're also requesting prayers for those who have been financially impacted because of loss of work, not just locally within our community, but around the world. And prayers for healthcare workers, nurses, doctors who are out there in the front line taking care of people, even as the numbers are still reducing, they're doing their jobs, and essential workers who've been keeping our society moving. Today, we're also requesting special prayers for some devotees. This has been on Facebook quite a bit yesterday, so wanted to make sure we said special prayers for them. So one is for Mother Krishna Nandini. Mother Krishna Nandini is a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Her and her husband, Tariq Prabhu, travel extensively around the world, conducting seminars for the Grihastha Vision team on how Grihasthas can continue to serve together, to serve the Lord. Mother Krishna Nandini is known for her extremely inspiring classes. If you have not heard her speak, please highly recommend you to listen to her speak. You will want to become a devotee after hearing Mother Krishna Nandini speak. She has been battling with cancer for a few years, and yesterday she posted that she's now been sent to hospice care after a very, very intense battle with cancer. So we want special prayers for Mother Krishna Nandini during this very difficult time for her and her family. Shamala Dasi, the young devotee in the pink sari, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. She's a disciple of His Holiness in the Dunamar, so we're requesting prayers for her and her family. She grew up, I believe, in the ISKCON San Diego community. This has been a lifelong devotee. Her parents are devotees and want to send special prayers for her. And lastly, wanted to request prayers for Brajahari Prabhu, who is the temple president of ISKCON Juhu, who was being diagnosed with COVID-19 and he's currently hospitalized. So we want to request special prayers for these three devotees who are going through a very difficult time at this period. And with that, Maharaj will hand it over to you, finishing your prayers. Thank you.
Namaste Narashinhaya. Namaste Narashinhaya. Namaste Narashinhaya. Lada lada daine. Hiranyakashipu Lakshaha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Shila Tankana Ito Nishinga Parato Nishingo. Yato yato yamitato nishinga. Yato yato yamitato Baye nishingo hridaye nishingo. Baye nishingo hridaye nishingo. Nishingamadhyam sharanam prapadye. Nishingamadhyam sharanam Tava karakamalabhare nakam adbhuta shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvindam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Avakara Kamalavare Nakamaruta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubindam Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Shinga Bhagawan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
And as Giriraja Swami Maharaj ki jai.
So I have a suggestion before we end, which I think we are about to do, and that is that we conclude with Vaishnav Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you again so much, Marsh, for the wonderful, wonderful class and leading us in very powerful Nashinga prayers. Thank you so much for that. If devotees would like to turn on your cameras for a few minutes now, before Marsh leaves, and we'll keep the Zoom bridge open for some more time.
Hare Krishna Guru.